Dynamo president of soccer Pat Onstad addressing the media on Tuesday, talking about the transfer window and what this team, who's had to endure a lot of change early in the season, has to look forward to.
So the last, we have, for some, and please, I'm not, most of you in this room I think understand, but I think there are probably some people too in the call. I just want to make sure. There's what we call a transfer window, which essentially is like a trade deadline. We have 2 periods of time each year that we can bring players in. This was our big window for Major League Soccer, and that includes up in the teams up in Canada as well. So our window closed on the 23rd of April on the Wednesday, and that was when we could stop bringing players in, or we could still move players out, but we can only bring players in during that window. Then we have another about a month-long window in July, starts I believe July 23rd also, that's open till August 23rd. In that period of time where we can bring some new additions. There's some outside rules to that. If there's a free agent or something like that, we could bring them in. But so essentially, the thought was that I would talk a little bit about this window, because this is our team now for the next 15 games going forward, 14 games, league games, plus part of early Leagues Cup and US Open Cup. This is our group. We went into the off season. The best way to put it is we thought we were going to replace Hector Herrera and Steve Clark. Steve Clark, we said we're going to give Andrew Tarbell a shot at that position, give him an opportunity to play. I think Andrew would be the first one to tell you the first 2 games didn't go the way he'd liked. Then we went into the highest scoring team, the most difficult place to play in the league in Columbus, and he had a fantastic game in a shutout. And then unfortunately in the next game, 30 minutes in, he blew his ACL and he's done for the season. So we've had to make a few pivots during this window. The other guy, of course, was Hector Herrera. That was one thing we did in this window we're pretty proud of and pretty happy and excited to see how Jack McGlynn, who we brought from an interleague trade, cash trade, we're calling that from our league. And Jack McGlynn came to us. He's a technical player with his right foot. He's on the fringe of the U.S. national team, has a few caps for them, played in their recent game in the Nations League semifinal. A very good technical player. We pushed him higher up the field. We think he can be a 10 setting up a final pass, and we're excited about his future and how he's going to perform for our club. So we went into this offseason with that. We were really tight against the cap. I think we were actually had the least amount of cap space, least amount of what's called general allocation money to be able to use. And then we, as Mike Tyson likes to say, got punched in the face. For good for some part of it's good, but the hard part about it is in recruitment. We got an offer that was a club record for Coco Carrasquilla to go to Pumas, something that we'd been for a while he'd been trying to get a move outside of the league, and we had a number set, and the club met that evaluation of him, which was a club record for us at the time. And then literally within 10 days, we got an offer for Mikel, who was a left-footed center back for us, and I would argue probably our most valuable player from 2024. And we lose him about 8-9 days before the season starts. So I give Ben Olsen a lot of credit, keeping us in the playoff hunt. Nobody's happy where we are, but he's kind of held this group together and given us a little bit of time to go out and try to find replacements for these guys. So we've moved Jack up into Coco's position. So we've given a young kid, Brooklyn Raines, an opportunity to play in the middle with Junior Urso, kind of his cover. And then we've got Pablo Ortiz, Colombian center back, that is finally in the building. We've had work permit difficulties, but today is first day with the full team, so we're really excited about him. He's a left-footed center back like Mikel, very athletic like Mikel, probably an inch or 2 taller than Mikel, very good passer on the ball, maybe not as strong as Mikel is, but a guy we have a lot of hope in that can fill that role. And with these things happening and changing, what it's opened up is some doors. So I talked about Brooklyn Raines, but Femi Owadusu is a young kid that we didn't expect to be starting this year. We thought we could bleed him in. He's played every minute of every game so far this year. He's made some mistakes at some key moments, but he's also played very well. He's an athletic kid that can compete at our level, and he's working, I think, on the ball is going to be right now his biggest growth. We'll see the biggest growth. And in fact, last game we were just talking about before the practice started with Ben and Asher and I, that Ben felt that was probably his best performance so far this year. So it's nice to see a young kid get an opportunity, whether that was planned or not planned. It's good to see him try to excel at that. But for a window that we thought we were probably going to have two main pieces to replace. It's turned into now we're at 14 this window, which is a lot. Last time we did something like that, we did 17 players from 22 to 23 season. That worked out pretty well for us. I don't know if that'll happen this year. Hopefully it does, but for us, we like our group if we can get everyone back and healthy. A couple of players, Lawrence Anali, Nelson Quiones, who give us verticality, great speed, are coming back from ACL injuries. Lawrence actually might beat Nelson back. Nelson's was a pretty horrific injury. Lawrence's was pretty straightforward, but get those guys back on the field. Get Toyosi, who's a backup striker, get his permit done. We feel like we're getting pretty close to our full group, and I think once we have that group, we're a very competitive team in the West.
All right.
Sorry, long-winded.
It's all right. Thanks for that, Pat. Where do we want to? We'll start with Luis up front and Marco as a mic here. We're gonna do our best to hand that around. It is wired, so just be careful.
Luis, maybe from 45. Can we talk about Linger and his immediate impact since he arrived?
Yeah, well, as I talked a little bit about verticality, we need someone who can run in behind, and we also need numbers in the box. So even when we did have Anali and Quiones, they would get behind, and often there was just Ezekiel Ponce is the only guy in the box, which makes it very easy for teams to defend. They say, okay, they have one striker, we have two center backs, this should be fun, and let's make it difficult for them. What we needed from that position, certainly the two position we call it a 3-box-3, the top of our box. We need somebody who can get in the box, and now it's man for man with the center backs. If we can do that, we think that'll open up more space for Ponce. But Linger is that type of player. He's a vertical, we call him a vertical 10. He's the type of guy that likes to get the ball on the top of the box, and I think his 2 goals in his 2 games are a perfect example of what we're hoping from with him. One is getting in the box and getting his head on it. He's not a super tall guy, but he's pretty thick. And he's actually really good in the air. So his first goal was exactly what we're hoping for. And then the second one is with a vertical 10 as a guy that gets in the box or on the edge of the box. And, it's a bad pass from the Austin player, one of our assistant coach's son, just for the record. Anyways, that chested down, and it was a great finish. But that's the spaces that we need more players in. So obviously we're happy with 2 goals in 2 games. The reality is I don't think he'll keep scoring at that pace, but he is everything that we thought he would be in the sense that he's an aggressive attacking player, and it's opened up space for Ezekiel. And I think, I don't think the goal Ezekiel scored the other day is because Linger, the way he plays, but it's nice to take some pressure off Ezekiel, and now we've got other people that we can rely on to score goals.
Go to Waldo and then Zach.
All right.
How content are you with what you've been able to do with the transfer window, and also talk about the importance of re-signing Bossi and Erik Sviatchenko?
Yeah, I think in the end we're happy with where we were. I think we're disappointed if Asher Mendelson, when I say Asher, sorry, he's our technical director, and the 2 of us and Ben Olsen, we make decisions on players. Ultimately, Asher and our job is to get players in front of him that we think can help our team. What I would say, we're happy with who we ended up with by the close of the window. But what I think we're disappointed with was the speed at which we reacted to some of these sales. The KHOU one, we felt we reacted pretty quickly because we wanted to give Brooklyn an opportunity, and knew Jack could play in KHOU's position. So that one we weren't too concerned about, although we were really replacing Hector. So we knew that once we got Linger in, we were fine. That was pretty quick, but. I think the center back one, we were a little slow to react to get somebody in here. In fairness to our scouting group, is we thought once the European window closes, so they have a transfer window as well, it closed. We were like, oh, good, there's Mikel, he's not going to Europe. And then a Brazil club comes in, and Palmeiras is a bright, smart club. They know what they're doing. It's also Mikel's childhood team, so it's like his favorite team. And they knew what the price was that we were looking for, and they came in with it, and they also knew they weren't going to get challengers from European clubs, so they could keep the price relatively stable. So for us, I think that's when you ask about the window, I think when we reflect and look back on which we have been over the last few days since it closed, is that our reaction to it probably wasn't as swift as we would have liked. I think the players we've got in here now are great. And we're happy, and I think Linger's shown that so far, certainly in attacking position. I think Jack moving up has been a good addition, and an opportunity for Femi is good for us to know, but at the same token, we want to try to get better. So We put Ben in a pretty tough place to lose some key guys just before the season starts, and the fact that we're only, I guess 3 points out of a playoff spot, 4 out of like 7th, is a testament, I think, to the hard work that he and his staff have done to keep us hanging in there. We've had a tough schedule to start the season too, and this weekend is no different, going to LAFC. But after that, I think we're in pretty good shape, and we can go and try to attack the schedule.
And just on Erik and Amin extension.
Yeah, sorry. So Erik and Amin, those are extensions that we started in the off season. As soon as our season ended, started discussions with them. These are core guys that have been part of our success over the last couple of seasons, so we wanted to lock them in and keep them here. And we're fortunate to have them in the building, and hopefully keep building on a tradition that we'd like to start here again, and it kind of reestablishes our winning tradition. Hopefully we can keep doing that this year. Hey, Zach.
You mentioned that continuity and getting the pieces you need now in order. How
Yeah.
much are you looking forward to this next month of play, seeing that actually play out with those pieces here now?
Yeah, it's been interesting because we've been saying this over the last like 3-4 weeks. We've been almost getting a new player in every week, it seems like. We also have a guy I haven't even mentioned, was Dwayne Holmes, who we worked really hard on getting signed, and he was going to play one more game for Preston North End, and unfortunately has a fibia break in his leg, and he's just coming back, but he'll probably be able to join us in the next week as well. He's a guy that can play in the top of the box or can be a vertical winger. So we're excited about that. But I think for us, the big one, it was a bit of a race against time, but as we're starting to bleed these guys back in, Pablo's now available. Hopefully KHOU will be available soon. And Ollie will be coming back, then Keone's. I think once we get our full up and running, we'll be in really good shape. But it's still going to be patchwork a little bit as we move forward. But I like our group now. The window closes when we sit back. I really like our group.
Go to Sam.
Hi, Pat.
Hey, Sam.
Sam here, Harrison Sports TV. Just a quick one. How aligned is the team with your long-term strategic vision of this club right now?
In terms of, I'm sorry, how aligned with the
How aligned
strategy?
With the team you have now, the team you guys have been able to assemble, the transfer window, how is it aligned to the long-term vision?
Yeah, well, I mean, the vision of our club, and I think we've said this on the record, hopefully if we haven't, and I've got a quote here. I just want to say, our goal was to build a sustainable winner. But I think we always focus on winner, 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 winner. But the real important piece for us is to be sustainable. And that's what that means, and I know I've talked to a lot of you about this, is, we draw a line in the sand saying we're going to be a playoff team. We're not now. We're 4 points out or 3 points out, but our goal is to always be a playoff team, because we think then we have an opportunity to win a championship. It was to go in the playoffs. In our league, and as most North American sports, if you can get hot at the right time, you can be hot for 4 to 6 weeks, you can go on a good run. I think this team that we've assembled, if we get everybody healthy and on the field, our starting 11 can compete with anyone in our league. Miami, okay, on their day, if everything's going right, they're a tough team to beat, but we know we can do that, and we can compete in this level. So to answer your question, I'm very happy with the group that we have right now.
I know that soccer operation is all about players coming and leaving, and we talk about continuity, trying to build for the future. Now, when you look at the turnover of players so far with the team, how do you think you guys can balance that to ensure continuity?
Yeah, I mean, I think where you're going, Sam, and correct me if I'm wrong, is a little bit towards the youth development. I don't know if am I correct in saying that? Yeah. So I think Brooklyn Reigns is a young player who will most likely start with the US U20s in the World Cup. Is a guy now that is getting an opportunity to play. We were pretty frustrated a couple of windows ago, or not a couple of windows, the last window. He was going to play a couple of exhibition games with the U20s. Jack McGlynn got called in at the last moment, and we asked US Soccer to leave him behind so that he could play for us. Having said that, there were a lot of teams that were in the same situation we were in. So Junior Urso stepped in, played very well for us, but so we feel like there was a couple more games he could have actually performed in. But we're really proud of what he's done, and he's stuck with it. And he's a young player, he's a 19-year-old that's still learning the game at real time, and I think he's got a good future. We talked about Femi Owadusu, who I think has a good chance here and an opportunity to go forward. But the part we're really proud of, and we're still probably another year to 2 years away from it, is our youth side of the game. So our second team, we played the youngest players in the entire league out of all 30 teams in that MLS Next Pro. Last year we're the youngest lineup, average age lineup. And yet we were still competitive, made the playoffs in that one. This year we're doing the exact same, still the youngest team on the field. And actually right now I believe we're first or second in MLS Next Pro standings. Yeah, Yoshi, you should ask you. You probably know more than I do. Yeah. First in conference, second in the league. So there you go. So I think the future is bright, but we're still, these kids are still, the guys we're talking about are the Daniel Barretts, the Lucas Brugmans, the Leo Gataus are still, 15, 16, 17-year-old kids and still learning the game, but they're not far off. And we're excited about the future of the club.
Thank you.
Yeah.
We'll go to Greg there.
Good to see you.
Greg, hi. Good to see you too.
What will be the identity of this group in your estimation once you get some pieces back with all of these new faces into the game?
Yeah, I think we've, that's a great question because I think I haven't really talked about that. Our identity is that we're a possession-based team. So when I talk about a 3-box-3, really we're a team that wants to keep the ball. Well, we lost Hector Herrera, who was probably one of the best in the league at that. We believe Jack McGlynn, in terms certainly from a young American, is probably the best young American in the league for possessing. We still want to be that type of team. So that's where I think we've made some pretty obvious and pretty harsh errors this year, where we've tried to play out of the back and we've got caught and turned balls over and we've been punished for it. But we're going to stick to that. Ben and his coaching staff believe in it. We believe in it from a recruitment standpoint. The players we went out to get, and Andres Linger is still a technical player, but who likes to get in the box. Brooklyn Raines, we believe, is a guy, his strength is actually getting on the ball and advancing the ball. Jack McGlynn, as we have already talked about ad nauseum, is a very technical player and likes to get in the ball. We want to be that type of team that possesses it. And again, it goes back to our original, when we first stepped in the building, is what's our advantage in Houston? Our advantage is the heat and embracing it and making teams chase us while we keep the ball. And I think when we get our full group together, we'll have enough pieces to be able to play the same style and maintain that the rest of the way.
All right, we'll go to Chris here. We'll go to the other one too. We'll go to that Chris and then David Joe.
Hi.
Pat, I know how much you love a rumor.
Oh,
There's
rumor.
that you're bringing back the Dynamo cheerleaders. Any comments on that?
I have no idea on that one. That would be a marketing question, I guess.
Okay. And with
What were they? What were they called before?
The Dynamo girls.
The Dynamo girls.
We
Okay.
also had the 713 squad.
Okay.
but-
I don't remember that. I remember we had cheerleaders when I played here. That was a long time ago.
And then with the lack of fan leadership creating quiet stadiums, how do you get the fans back in?
Yep, that's a great question. I'm not going to totally defer to the front office on that one too. I believe to bring people back, I think you do have to have a winning product. That's first and foremost. I think we've done it the last 2 years, but unfortunately I don't necessarily see fans come out. So while that's a piece of the puzzle, I think it's only a small piece. I think in this city, fans, and please call me out if I'm wrong here, but I think fans, when they can connect to a team that's a team that works hard, that fights for them, believes in the city, I think that's number one. I think we have that in our group. I think we're a sport, we're very accessible. Our guys don't wear helmets, they don't wear pads, little shin pads, I guess. But they're accessible, and these guys are, I don't know if we're out in the community enough, if I'm being completely truthful. I think that's something we need to work on. I know when I played here, I was probably out a couple days a week at least, reading a book in a school, going to supermarket, signing some autographs. But having said that, I know after games I would sign autographs, and there's no secret. I was one of the guys, Mike Chabala, for example, Brian Mullen and Craig Weibel. These guys would spend hours after games signing autographs, and I think there's a reason why people go, oh, I remember him, because I actually had a moment where I had 10 seconds, 15, 20 seconds, a minute, where we actually connected. And I think that's still part of our job. It's something that we need to keep pushing as a club. And then the best thing about our sport, and the most favorite thing I have, is because I get to go see these stadiums all over the world, is the fan. The environment in a stadium in soccer is unlike any other sport that we have in North America. You have drums, you have people singing, you have people chanting the entire time, and I think it's important that those are the fans that we need to get back in. We need to fill up our Texian army. We need to fill up that end zone. All those guys that have supported us, and we've got to help them, and then help them to try to recruit as well. So I think those are a couple things that we can control, and if I'm being honest, we still got a lot of work to do.
Chris here, and then we'll come up to David.
Hey,
Hello, I'm Chris from with
Hey,
Silver
Chris.
News. Pat, hi, I've watched you in your career here at Houston, and you're absolutely right. The young lady here, she's correct. It's all about community, Pat. We need more of that from your team. My question is on gelling and chemistry. When do you think that we might have that?
With our team or with the club within the community?
With the team, the team on the field.
Oh, team on the field? I think once our players kind of get some time together, again, when you have 14 changes, it does take time for guys to understand. And a good example, I think, is in our conference. You look at Vancouver as a team that really only makes 1 or 2 changes a year, but this group and I was talking to some of their players or some of their coaching staff. Is one of the nice things about that team is that group has been together for a long time, and I think you saw that with our group last year. It's a group that had been together. They understood our strengths and weaknesses. They knew each other and how people move and what they want to do, and we've got to learn that quickly. So it'll take a little bit of time, but it's something we did. We had 17 changes between 22 and beginning of 23, and we had a pretty successful 23 season. And I'm expecting the same from this group. I think once Ben gets his full arsenal and gets these guys working together, we'll have an opportunity to do that. In terms of gelling, though, it's interesting because we have a ridiculous May. 9 games, 8-9 games in May. It's insane. But there's moments here now, like we'll go to LA and we'll be together for 6 days together and play an Open Cup game where that's where some of this gelling, as you talk about, really takes place, where guys are in meal rooms together and they get a chance to go out for a dinner together and hang out. And these are moments you don't necessarily get all the time during a season. Good question.
On to Dave.
Hi, good morning.
Morning.
With the departure of Ibrahim Aliyu, you open up a U22 spot. Have you looked into the options within that?
Yeah, we have a few options with the U22 spot. I mean, Ibra, I thought his first year, I'll talk about him a little bit. The first year, I thought he did really well for us, scored some key goals, had some assists, and really in the last year, he really struggled to kind of get going again. And he's a good kid, and I wish him all the success in Columbus, and I think he's going to an environment there where they preach attacking soccer, and hopefully Wilfred can do his best and get him kind of back on track. That was a deal actually that took place with 2 minutes to spare in the trade window, by the way, too. So that was a tricky one. But I think sorry, go back to your question again. I rambled on about Aliu. Yeah. Oh, about the U22. Sorry. So the U22 initiative, you have an option now. We have 3. So we have an option where we can either add another U22 or we could possibly go to a designated player. So we only have 2 designated players on our roster right now. That's Andrej Linger and Ezekiel Ponce. So I think for us will be to evaluate probably the next 6 to 8 games and decide what are the positions that we need on the field that we think can push us to another level. And at that stage, we'll decide, is that a U22? Is that a DP? We have a little bit of flexibility now with our cap. Do we go after a GAM player or 2? So really right now it's time to evaluate these guys who are over here maybe the next 2 months or so.
And with the addition of Pablo Ortiz, there were some rumors that it's a loan.
There's a lot of rumors that go on in this room, all right?
But
I love talking about rumors. Why not?
But if he meets certain expectations, it would be a mandatory buy on it. Can you confirm or deny?
That's a great question. I'm trying to remember his contract. There's been 14 of them this year, so I'm trying to remember. I think there might be some a mandatory certain amount of play stipulation on how much he plays and appears. That could be true. That I'm not 100% sure. Though. I can get back to you later on that.
And finally, with Linger also, Asher mentioned it that he could potentially down the line be bought down for general allocation money.
Yep. Yeah, he'll be TAM. He's what's called TAM eligible. He could be a TAM player. Right now, currently with our roster situation, it's a little complicated, but it's much better for him to be at a DP charge, which is about $783 or something like that. So instead of taking on his full max TAM, would be basically $1 million plus that. So we'd be taking on about 1.7 in cap space. Instead, right now we take on about 780. Yeah.
All right, another one from Ubaldo back there.
Having said all that, Pat, you said this is our what's the expectation for what's left? Well, you guys got more than halfway to go.
Yeah, 24 games. We got a ways to go.
But what's the expectation now that you have kind of, most of the group?
For us to make the playoffs and to try to compete for championships. So we start our US Open Cup run in Phoenix on Wednesday. It'll be between 2 league games, so it's always the first couple of games are always a little tricky to try to make sure you put out a team that can win the game, but at the same token, making sure you're prepared for the weekends. But this is a playoff team. We have the talent when we're healthy. Right now, we're still fighting to get there, but once you can see with Linger on, that's added a spark. Pablo Ortiz here, we keep adding. We're going to get there. So I believe we're a little fortunate, if I'm being honest. The West has not been very strong this year to start, outside of Vancouver, and that's been able to keep us in the hunt. I think there's been other years where maybe we're 7 points out, and it's a little more daunting. But the reality is, it's competitive. There's also probably 12 teams that feel the same as we do, like we can be a playoff team. So it'll be tight, but that's what Ben, Asher, and I sit down every year and we say, is this a squad that's good enough to make the playoffs? And we believe it is when we're healthy.
All right, one quick one. This game.
There's never a quick one with you,
This
Sam.
game of soccer is all about the fans,
Yeah.
and they are the people that make it what it is.
Yes.
Coming to stadium, feeling
Yep.
every fan. What role does their feedback play in what you guys do in this building in terms of
The
players,
field, the
coach?
actual field.
No, I mean, what role does their feedback, the
Oh.
fans' feedback?
Oh, the
play?
fans' feedback.
Yeah, play in shaping policies and what you guys do here.
That's probably more of a front office question. They do. I know they've done some feedback surveys and stuff, but I haven't. In terms of my feedback, I'm trying to put the most competitive team I can on the field within a budget that we agree on with ownership, and we're very fortunate with the budget that our ownership agrees on. I think we can be a competitive team. So that's always been my focus. I haven't heard a fan come to me and say, "Hey, I just want a mediocre team, but I'd like something." Most fans come talk to me and say, "Why aren't we winning? Why do we stink right now? Why don't we better?" And I go, "Okay, well, we're trying to solve that problem." So I don't know if that's answering your question. I'm not sure from the right.
Yeah, because we're in touch with them on social media sometimes.
Yeah,
Just look at
I'm the wrong
fans.
guy on social media. I'm still, my university days were still with a typewriter and stuff. So, yeah, I'll get some feedback on that. But I would think for me personally, the feedback that ends up percolating up to me from fans is usually about results and how we're competing. Whether it's fighting for a trophy, fighting for playoffs, or a situation we're in right now, we're out of a playoff spot. So that's what I tend to focus on, is to try to focus on the performance and how we're playing. And I don't want to use excuses. We are where we are, and we're not happy about it. We've got a long way to go, but I do believe in this group, and I believe this is a playoff team.
So what will be the main target going to next transfer window?
Sorry?
What will be the focus going to the next transfer window?
Well, I think I'd said before, I think right now is we'll probably take the next 6 weeks to evaluate the group. And as we get these players back healthy, it'd be nice to be able to evaluate the group with the Lawrence and Ollie playing on the left side, and Pablo Ortiz fit and healthy and getting a few games and reps in there. So be nice to be able to see all these guys together and see how they fit and how they work together. And then the other piece for us is always going to be outside of Real Madrid, I'll jokingly say the Seattle Sounders, but there's not many teams, PSG, that most teams in this sport, they try to develop young players and then sell them on. So the reality is we have a young player, young U.S. international in Jack McGlynn, who maybe an offer comes in for him, and then clearly we're going to need a 10 that can pass and make a final play for us. If Brooklyn Reigns goes and has a great U20 championship, he's a guy, while that's after the window's closed, he's a guy that could also move on in the winter too, so we'll have to adjust to that. So there's always moving pieces in this sport, and to be honest, it's actually what I love about the job. Like, it's as much as not happy about where we are, the stress and the pressure to try to figure out a way to get out of this and try to get better. People ask us, there's nothing better. I love that part of the job. It's almost, for me, it's at times when things aren't going well, I feel like that's the time when you can have more of an influence on the group and try to stay calm and try to figure out a solution rather than panicking and running around these hallways and screaming and yelling at everybody. So I enjoy it. I'm really fortunate to be in this seat.
And the Dynamo also announcing Tuesday they've re-signed defender Erik Sviatchenko to a contract extension through 2026 with an option for 2027. Congratulations, first of all, on being re-signed. Pat was saying that conversation started kind of at the end of last year. How exciting is it to get that news today on Tuesday?
Yeah, it's been in the books for some time. I think it's just about the timing, obviously, and I'm very, very pleased and happy that kind of has this extension going on for my family, and I'm really, really happy being here. So overall, it's just a pleasant moment right now.
Pat talked about where you guys are at right now, how the continuity has been developing. You guys have lost a lot of guys. What has the early season been like, and how proud are you of this team for still being in the hunt with everything you guys have endured so far?
No, exactly. Like we have had the last 2 seasons has been like on a high. Everything has gone our way, and not much has been discussed about like when are they going to face some difficulties. It's just been on a wave of positivity, and obviously football it's a reality of both worlds, and now we're in it. So as you're referring to, we have been struggling a little bit. We have had some injuries, we have had some players leaving us right before the kind of transfer window. Now the players coming in, so we are right there in that kind of limbo between kind of breaking through, and the last 4 games has been unbeaten. We wanted still more points, but we still, as you said, in it. And this is also MLS now that I've been here for 2 years. I know that it's kind of coming in waves, and I'm really looking into a team that is keeping their positivity and keeping their kind of chest up. And with that said, we are hopefully on a wave going upwards right now.
And hopefully that wave happens this month, because you guys have 8 or 9 games. Talk about the challenge of the schedule coming up and what you're hoping to see from this team in these 8 or 9 games, this packed month you guys have.
Yeah, exactly. It's going to be a crazy month. It's great that we can just play football. It's nice just to have games and less training. So we're going to have that for sure. But of course, it's a month where you could put it on 2 kind of things, make it or break it. But obviously, it's a very, very still long season, and I think we need to take it game by game, and it's a very kind of boring answer, but that is how we has gone by these, and that's how we're going to develop, take the best things and take those things that we can improve, go into the next game, and then hopefully build a momentum going into the next coming games of this kind of month of very busy games.
And finally, as someone who's a veteran, and now you've got a lot of young players who are coming up and needing to play important roles on this team, what is your advice to them? How do you kind of help them as somebody who has that experience?
No, it's of course it's great with young players. They give the energy, and we feed off that as well. I've been in this game for many years, and of course I love seeing young players, like especially Femi that I'm playing alongside now, the way that he has played all the minutes and has had some amazing games, and still kind of keeps wanting to learn and still wants to kind of have the performance going, because we need to win games too. It's not a place where we just develop players. We got to do our job, and I think my advice is to kind of to do all the small details. We talk about sleeping better, eating better, going in for those small details that then matters, especially when you have a very, very congested schedule.
And with 8 games on the schedule in May, the Dynamo will be looking to get back into playoff position with the second half of the season looming. From Houston Sports Park with the Dynamo, Zack Tawatari, KHOU 11 Sports.